The first warning appeared as a distortion across the deep space grid, an expanding ripple that stretched from the orbit of Neptune to the far edge of Sol's heliosphere. At first, analysts assumed it was another gravitational echo from wandering debris. Then the distortion thickened, darkened, and sharpened into nearly 10,000 synchronized signatures. The Dominion Armada was entering the system. In the command citadel beneath Neo Geneva, a low vibration moved through the floor as holoscreens unfolded the incoming fleet. Officers stared at the readings with an unease that no amount of training could hide. The Armada's formation resembled a steel continent drifting through vacuum, each vessel locked into a single unstoppable purpose. Commander Ari Nova stepped into the chamber just as tactical overlays brightened the room. She still wore the uniform of Lumen Research, not military command. She had been pulled from her lab during an experiment without explanation, escorted through restricted corridors, and pushed into a situation that clearly had nothing to do with analysis work. Director Ria Solis turned toward her, expression tight. "Thank you for coming on such short notice," she said. "We may be out of time." Ari looked at the screen. "How long until they reach Earth's defensive envelope?" 15 hours if they hold formation, Solis replied. "Much sooner if they accelerate." Ari felt her chest constrict. Dominion incursions were rare near human space, full-scale invasions were unheard of. "Why now?" "Because they believe we're hiding something," Solis said. "And they intend to uncover it before we can react." Before Ari could ask what that meant, every screen flickered. A towering reptilian figure appeared, illuminated by the cold glow of a dreadnought bridge. High Marshal Vorkal did not raise his voice, he didn't need to. Authority poured from every syllable. "Humans of Earth," he said, "the Dominion has determined that your species presents a growing threat to galactic stability. You will surrender your sovereignty, deactivate all orbital defenses, and comply with Dominion oversight. Failure to comply will result in your elimination." His tone carried no malice, only certainty. No one in the room responded. The Marshal's gaze narrowed at the silence. "You have 1 hour," he said, and the transmission ended. A quiet heaviness settled across the command floor. Officers exchanged glances, but no one spoke. Ari felt a tide of dread rise through her, but beneath it lay something sharper, a strange sense of recognition, as though she had been waiting for this moment without fully understanding why. Solis placed a hand on Ari's shoulder. "Come with me. There's something you need to see." They descended through a secure lift that sank deep beneath the citadel. As the doors opened, Ari stepped into a vast circular chamber carved from ancient stone and reinforced with modern alloy. A single sphere hovered at its center, suspended in a containment field. Soft, rhythmic pulses of light traveled through it like a heartbeat. The Lumen Core. Ari had studied it for years, an artifact older than recorded human history, unearthed beneath the Pacific Trench after a quake exposed a buried structure. Every analysis suggested it was a relic from the age when humans allegedly wielded energies capable of bending space itself. No evidence had ever proven the legends true. Yet the core pulsed harder as Ari approached. Solis lowered her voice. "The core activated the moment the Dominion entered the system. And more importantly, it synchronized to you." Ari blinked. "To me? That's impossible." "You touched it 3 weeks ago during calibration," Solis said. "The sensors recorded an anomalous resonance matching your biosignature. At the time, we thought it was an error. Now we think it chose you." Ari stepped forward slowly. The chamber felt warmer, denser, as though the air thickened with energy the deeper she moved into the room. The sphere's pulses grew brighter, aligning with her heartbeat in perfect rhythm. "This is why they're attacking," Ari murmured. "They believe we're trying to reactivate the legends." "They fear it," Solis corrected. "The Dominion has always feared what humanity was." Ari stopped at the edge of the containment field. The core's glow spilled across her hands, lighting her skin in soft gold. She hesitated. Every scientific instinct told her this was reckless, but the pull was undeniable, an instinct so deep it felt inherited, not learned. She reached out. The moment her fingertips brushed the containment field, the chamber erupted in cascading light. A surge of heat shot through her arm, raced up her spine, and exploded behind her eyes. Her vision fractured into vivid scenes, humans standing on war-torn horizons, luminous energy spiraling around their bodies, ships carved from raw starlight, battles fought not with metal, but with will. She staggered as the visions multiplied. Voices spoke in languages she had never encountered, yet she understood every word. You were more. You endured. You return when threatened. Her pulse thundered in her ears. The chamber shook as the core spun faster, drawing arcs of light into its orbit. A shockwave burst outward, rippling through the facility like a sonic boom. Ari! Solis called out. Break contact. But Ari couldn't. The core wasn't forcing her, it was completing something. A connection. A recognition. A reminder. Then, without warning, the light collapsed inward. Ari fell to her knees, gasping. The chamber dimmed, leaving only the faint echo of resonance humming in the air. Above them, alarms erupted across the command network. Solis helped her to her feet as technicians burst into the room. Director. Orbital systems are activating independently. Ari's head snapped up. Independently? Yes, a technician answered breathlessly. The Aegis satellites, every one of them, came online. They're aligning with the Armada. We never issued the command. Solis stared at Ari. The activation link requires a Lumen signal. Ari felt the echo of energy still flickering in her veins. I didn't intend. You didn't need to, Solis whispered. The core did it through you. The ceiling trembled as the Armada reached attack range. Red markers filled the tactical displays with ruthless precision. Solis turned toward the lifts. We need to get you to the Nexus. The core's connection may be the key to unlocking the full defense grid. Ari hesitated. Her hands still glowed faintly, as though the core had left its imprint beneath her skin. She could feel something stirring inside her, a presence, or perhaps a memory, waiting for the moment she would demand more from it. Outside, the Dominion Armada shifted into firing formation. Humanity had remained quiet for centuries. But as Ari stepped toward the lift, the resonance inside her pulsed again. Ari woke to a faint vibration beneath her ribs, as if her heartbeat had gained a second rhythm. Soft light flickered above her, a med-base ceiling, unfamiliar yet unmistakably part of the defense citadel. The sheets under her palms felt warm, grounding her against the strange energy still coursing through her body. A voice came from her left. Good, you're conscious. Ari turned to see Director Solis standing beside the bed, arms folded tightly. Her expression was a mixture of concern and relief. How long was I out? Ari asked. 40 minutes, Solis replied. During that time, the entire defense grid recalibrated itself. No one can explain how, except, she paused, her gaze lowering to Ari's faintly glowing fingertips. Except you. Ari lifted her hand, surprised to see threads of pale light trailing beneath the skin, almost like bioluminescent veins. She curled her fingers, trying to hide the glow. I didn't activate anything intentionally. The Lumen core did, Solis said quietly. Through you. Before Ari could answer, the wall display lit up with a communication alert. High Marshal Vorkal's image reappeared, this time, the tension in his posture unmistakable. Behind him, Dominion officers scrambled across the bridge, reacting to data streaming across their screens. Humans, Vorkal growled, you have deployed systems we were assured no longer existed. This is your final warning. Surrender immediately or face eradication. Solis muted the feed before he finished. He's losing patience. And they're repositioning their forward carriers. She turned to Ari. We need you at the command nexus. If the satellite grid is responding to your resonance, you may be capable of unlocking deeper protocols. Ari pushed herself upright, still dizzy from the earlier surge. You think I can control whatever the core awakened? I barely stayed conscious last time. We don't need full control, Solis said. We need access. The Aegis shield requires a compatible signal to activate, and the core seems to have accepted you as an anchor. Ari nodded slowly. Then let's go. The command nexus resembled the inside of an enormous metallic sphere, with consoles arranged in spiraling tiers around a central podium. Suspended above it hung a holographic projection of Earth surrounded by luminous rings, representations of the Aegis shield, still dormant. Technicians glanced at Ari as she entered, their expressions oscillating between hope and uncertainty. No one dared speak the truth aloud, but everyone knew what was at stake. If the shield didn't activate, the Armada would breach Earth's defenses within the hour. Solis gestured toward the podium. Place your hand on the resonance interface. Let the system read your energy field. Ari approached cautiously. The interface shimmered with a web of hexagonal lights. As she placed her hand onto the surface, the entire platform brightened. A low hum filled the chamber, vibrating through the floor. The system voice spoke in ancient dialect, one no modern human had taught it. Resonant candidate identified. Initiate stabilization. A technician glanced at Solis. The system hasn't spoken in this mode before. It's responding to her directly. Solis nodded. Proceed. Ari exhaled and whispered, stabilize. Light surged upward around her, forming a translucent column that wrapped her in a gentle, humming pressure. Lumen energy coursed through her nerves again, less violently this time, more like a tide rising under her control. Images flickered behind her eyes, human silhouettes standing beneath starlit skies, channeling shimmering arcs through their hands, cities shielded by radiant domes, commanders guiding fleets through space not by instruments, but by instinct linked to the field itself. Ari clenched her jaw, grounding herself. The vision steadied, transforming into clarity rather than chaos. She sensed the Aegis shield as if it were a dormant limb waiting for a command. Status? Solis called. A technician checked the readings. Resonance levels climbing. The grid synchronizing, slowly, but it's happening. Another screen lit up with new alerts. Dominion strike ships detaching from the main formation. They're moving to intercept. Solis leaned forward. Ari, we need the shield online before they cross the inner perimeter. Ari tightened her grip on the interface. I can feel the field resisting me. Not rejecting, just waiting. Waiting for what? Solis asked. Ari closed her eyes. The resonance pulsed in her mind, echoing the same message she felt during her connection with the core, remember. Not the images this time, something deeper. A concept, a sensation. The way the ancient commanders centered themselves before activating massive constructs. She inhaled slowly. The hum intensified. Her heartbeat aligned with the resonance. The lights around the podium shifted from white to gold. The technicians froze as readings spiked. We have movement. Shield lattice forming. Outside, orbital cameras captured thin filaments of light extending from satellite nodes, weaving together like threads pulled by invisible hands. The Aegis shield's geometric framework slowly materialized, stretching around Earth in a massive, glowing sphere. But before anyone could celebrate, the chamber shook. A blast rattled the entire facility, an impact from the first Dominion strike ships. Shields incomplete, a technician shouted. They're exploiting gaps before the lattice forms. Solis slammed her fist against the console. Ari, push harder. Ari grit her teeth. The resonance grew heavier, almost overwhelming, but she refused to break contact. She reached further into the field, letting the ancient instinct guide her. A voice echoed within her, soft, human, yet older than memory. Do not fear the magnitude. Shape it. Ari exhaled and opened her eyes. Her irises glowed with the same golden light as the resonance field. She lifted her free hand into the air, palm outward. The shield lattice flared, brightening across the globe. A technician shouted, coverage rising. 50%, 60, 70. Another blast rocked the structure, but this time the tremor felt muted. A thin sheet of energy absorbed the attack just as the shield closed another gap. Vorkal's battle group intensified fire. Plasma lances hammered the emerging sphere, carving temporary holes before the lattice reformed again. "They're speeding up their assault," someone yelled. Ari pressed both hands into the interface. Her voice steadied. "Then I'll finish first." Energy flowed through her chest and down her arms in a seamless surge. For the first time, the resonance didn't feel foreign. It felt like purpose. The lattice snapped into full formation. The Aegis shield ignited around Earth in a brilliant, unbroken dome. The room erupted in cheers, but Ari didn't relax, not yet. She could still feel the Dominion's pressure against the shield, testing for weakness, desperate to find a breach. She turned to Solis. "This isn't over." Solis nodded. "No. But you bought us time. And you proved something the Dominion never wanted to believe." Ari stepped off the podium, the last traces of light fading from her hands. That humanity wasn't finished. Solis placed a hand on her shoulder. "That humanity remembers." Above them, the Armada shifted formation again. Vorkal was far from done. And Earth had only begun to awaken. The Aegis shield glowed like a vast celestial shell around Earth, its surface rippling with golden lines that shimmered against the black of space. Dominion plasma beams slammed into it in relentless succession, lighting the sky with violent flashes. Each impact sent tremors through the defense citadel, but the shield held, stronger with every pulse of Ari Nova's resonance. Yet Vorkal was far from defeated. In the command nexus, tactical screens lit with escalating warnings. Dominion cruisers were collapsing into a new formation, one Earth had never seen deployed outside genocidal campaigns. Director Solis stepped closer to the main display. "He's arranging his ships into a converging lattice. That's a stellar crack formation." Ari frowned. "Meaning?" "It focuses the firepower of thousands of ships into a singular point," Solis said, her voice tightening. "It's designed to break planetary shields in under an hour." Ari gazed at the projection. 3 enormous triangular wings of warships started rotating around a central dreadnought, aligning their weapon arrays toward Earth like a massive, mechanical flower closing around prey. The sight alone carried a weight that pressed against her chest. "They're preparing to breach the Aegis," Solis concluded grimly. Ari took a slow breath. The resonance inside her no longer felt shy or foreign, it thrummed steadily, waiting for direction. The Lumen core had awakened something more than instinct, it had connected her to a field far larger than she had believed possible. "How long until they fire?" Ari asked. 10 minutes, a technician answered. "Maybe less." Ari stepped back toward the resonance podium. "Then we don't wait." Solis moved beside her. "Ari, this formation is unlike anything we've defended against. The shield alone won't endure." "I know," Ari said quietly. "That's why I'm not planning to rely on it." She placed her palm on the interface again. Light rose around her immediately, forming a shimmering column. A hum vibrated through the chamber, deeper than before, almost like a second heartbeat for the planet. With her eyes closed, Ari focused on the Aegis lattice orbiting Earth. She extended her awareness through its geometric web, feeling satellite nodes like distant fingertips. The field responded with fluid certainty, accepting her direction without resistance. But something else stirred. Behind the shield's structural hum, she sensed another layer, older, broader, not bound to metal or circuitry. A tapestry of energy that wrapped Earth long before satellites existed. The remnants of what her ancestors once commanded. The Lumen Field. Ari opened her eyes. Light radiated from them like molten gold. "Ari," Solis said, cautious but hopeful, "what are you doing?" "Using what they fear." The Dominion fleet halted all movement, locking into final alignment. Alarms blared. "They're charging the convergent array," a technician cried. Vorkal's face appeared across every screen. His voice came through with cold triumph. "You cannot withstand this. Your resistance ends now." Ari stepped forward and raised her hand. "Not today." Outside, the Dominion fleet unleashed the strike. A single beam, dense, focused, impossibly bright, shot from the dreadnought's core and merged with thousands of subsidiary lances. The unified blast hurtled toward Earth, distorting space in its wake. In the Nexus, everyone braced. Ari didn't. She extended her hand fully and reached into the Lumen Field. The moment her consciousness crossed the threshold, time seemed to slow. The rushing beam became a river of light drifting toward her. She sensed gravitational threads twisting within it, felt the Dominion's brute force energy pressing against the shield. She didn't block it. She redirected it. Space bent subtly around her influence. The colossal beam curved, brushing the Aegis surface, then arcing upward like a redirected waterfall. The Dominion officers stared as their own weapon veered away before striking anything. Solis whispered, "She's bending physics." But Ari wasn't done. With a gentle shift of her wrist, the redirected beam completed its arc and slammed back toward the Dominion's flank. 300 cruisers vanished in a burst of white fire. The Nexus erupted in stunned gasps. Vorkal's expression contorted with disbelief. Impossible. Humans cannot. Ari lifted both hands, the resonance brightening until golden strands spiraled around her body. We can. The Dominion fleet scattered, struggling to regroup. But Ari had already extended her reach across the battlefield. The Lumen Field amplified her intent, weaving through the Aegis network and surrounding the planet in a halo of pure resonance. Status on their formation? Solis asked. A technician swallowed hard. They're collapsing. He lost control of the convergence. On screen, Dominion ships broke alignment as internal systems overloaded. Vorkal roared commands, but panic rippled through his ranks. Many officers had heard the same ancient legends, humans wielding cosmic force with nothing but thought. Vorkal refused to accept it. Prepare the dreadnought core. We'll crush the shield ourselves. Ari sensed the coming wave. The dreadnought began powering a gravitational implosion device, one capable of collapsing shields through sheer distortion. If allowed to fully activate, the device could tear through the Aegis and fracture Earth's atmosphere. There's no shielding against that, Solis warned. Ari stepped off the podium. Her resonance didn't fade, it intensified, forming a luminous halo around her. Then I won't let it fire. How? Solis asked. Ari focused on the dreadnought. The Lumen Field coiled around her, responding to her resolve. I'm going up. Within minutes, she stood in the launch chamber. The Aegis shield parted as her small transport ascended, guided by her resonance rather than thrusters. Outside, Earth shone beneath her like a living star encircled in gold. As she approached the Dominion Center formation, Vorkal appeared on the viewport feed. His voice trembled with fury. You are a single human. You cannot face the Dominion. Ari floated in the humming glow of the Lumen Field. You came here expecting fear. You found humanity instead. The dreadnought's core reached critical power. Ari extended her hands. The resonance exploded outward. It wasn't a blast. It wasn't even a wave. It was a shift, a recalibration of the space around her. The dreadnought's gravity core destabilized, folding in on itself in a flash of pale light. Vorkal's final roar cut off as his flagship collapsed silently into a flicker of warped dimensions. The remaining Dominion ships froze. Earth's message was clear. The battle ended not with the destruction of the Armada, but with its surrender. Ships powered down. Distress beacons lit the void. Commanders begged for mercy they had never intended to offer. Ari lowered her hands as the resonance calmed. The Lumen Field dimmed around her but did not disappear. It felt like a quiet companion, waiting, patient. When she returned to the Nexus, Solis stood at the entrance, stunned and proud. You've changed humanity, Solis said. Ari shook her head gently. Humanity changed itself. I only reminded it what it already was. Messages raced across the galaxy, the age of silence was over. Humanity had returned. The silence after the battle felt unreal. Hours earlier, the sky above Earth had blazed with the violence of an entire empire's wrath. Now the void was quiet, scattered with dormant Dominion vessels drifting without purpose. Their once imposing hulls glimmered under the Aegis shield's faint gold light, subdued, motionless, defeated. In the command nexus, officers moved with a stunned, reverent caution, as though any loud noise might shatter the fragile peace. Some whispered updates in hushed tones. Others simply watched Ari Nova as if unable to fully comprehend what she had done. Ari herself stood near the panoramic viewport, studying the remnants of the Armada. The resonance inside her had settled into a soft pulse, like an echo of her own heartbeat. It no longer surged or threatened to overwhelm her. It simply existed, quiet, steady, present. Director Solis approached with measured steps. The Dominion fleet has sent a formal request for ceasefire negotiations. They're asking for safe passage to withdraw. Ari didn't take her eyes off the drifting ships. And the captains? Most are in shock, Solis said. They've never witnessed anything like what you did. Their tactical reports describe it as impossible. Ari exhaled slowly. I didn't want to annihilate them. I only needed to stop them. You did, Solis said. And you reshaped the balance of power in a single hour. Ari turned, finally meeting her gaze. That's what worries me. Solis placed a reassuring hand on her arm. You didn't start this war. You ended it in the only way that ensured our survival. That distinction matters. Before Ari could respond, the communications officer called out. Director, we're receiving transmission packets from multiple Dominion systems. Long-range channels. They're demanding updates from Vorkal. Solis raised a brow. Do they know what happened? They know the flagship disappeared, the officer said carefully. They don't know how. A hush settled again. Ari looked back at the empty patch of space where the dreadnought had folded out of existence. She remembered the way the resonance had flowed through her, effortless, focused, terrifying in its precision. The Lumen Field responded to intent without hesitation. That kind of power, misdirected, could topple civilizations. She whispered, we can't let this become a weapon. Solis nodded. What you carry isn't a weapon. It's a heritage. Like any form of knowledge, its use depends on the one who wields it. Ari wasn't convinced. Others will want to learn it. Or control it. And they'll fail, Solis said softly. Because the Lumen Field does not follow orders. It responds to resonance, connection. You're not the first to carry it. You're simply the first to awaken it in this age. Ari absorbed the words. The thought didn't bring comfort. It brought responsibility. A technician interrupted. Commander Nova, incoming transmission. Unidentified origin. The signal is stable but unusual. Solis gestured. Put it through. The screen flickered, then revealed a fractal pattern of shimmering light. It wasn't static. It moved, with intention. A voice emerged, layered, ancient, and unmistakably human despite the distortion. Descendant, it said. You have awakened the field. Ari's pulse quickened. Identify yourself. The geometric pattern rippled in response. We are the echo of those who shaped the first lattice. A memory preserved within the field. You accessed our imprint when you reached beyond your world. Solis stepped closer, breath caught. You're a remnant of the ancient Lumen age? The echo expanded, deepening in tone. We left no living heirs, only fragments carried in resonance. When the last of us fell, the field dormant itself until another mind aligned with it. Ari swallowed. Why now? Why me? The pattern brightened. Because your world faced erasure. And because you chose protection over conquest. That intent stabilized your connection. Ari looked down at her hands, the faint gold threads beneath her skin glowing softly. What happens now? That is for your generation to decide, the echo replied. We do not guide the living. We only ensure the field awakens through harmony, not ambition. The pattern flickered. But know this, the galaxy will not remain quiet. Some will fear you. Others will seek you. The field will respond to those who resonate, but it will resist those who pursue it through domination. Solis nodded slowly. A warning. Not a warning, the echo corrected. A truth. The light collapsed into a single point and vanished. The room stayed silent long after the transmission ended. Ari finally spoke. They're gone. Or rather, all that's left is that imprint. Solis inhaled steadily. Then we carry their legacy with caution. Ari looked out at the drifting Dominion ships once more. She imagined the ripple effect the battle would cause, the political upheaval, the panic, the recalibration of entire empires. Earth, long dismissed as primitive, had displayed a power no one believed still existed. And that power resided in her. A quiet dread tugged at her ribs. How do we keep this from spiraling into something worse? Solis answered with confidence she didn't fully feel. By staying grounded. By remembering why you fought, not for supremacy, not for revenge, only for survival. As long as that remains your core, the field won't twist into something destructive. Ari nodded, though uncertainty lingered. A new alert chimed. A Dominion officer appeared on the screen, one who had taken command after Vorkal's disappearance. His posture was rigid, but his eyes held nothing but disbelief. I speak for the remaining fleet, he said. We acknowledge Earth's strength. We request terms of withdrawal. Ari stepped forward. You will leave this system without delay. And you will not return. The officer bowed his head, a gesture no Dominion leader had ever shown toward a human. Understood. The transmission ended. Ari exhaled, releasing a tension she hadn't realized she carried. Solis gave a soft smile. The galaxy will need time to understand what happened here. Ari turned from the screen. So will we. Later, as dawn broke across Earth, Ari walked onto the rooftop of the Citadel. The city below glowed with quiet resilience. People had emerged from shelters to see the sky unscarred, the air calm, the world intact. Children pointed at the faint golden shimmer where the shield met sunlight. For the first time in generations, Earth felt both ancient and new. Ari closed her eyes. The resonance inside her responded, gentle now, steady, as if acknowledging the peace it helped secure. She spoke softly to the morning air. I won't let this power define us. We'll define it. Far above, the last Dominion ship left the solar system, engines dimming into the void. The galaxy trembled the night before. Now, it watched. Humanity had awakened, and it would shape its future with eyes open, not clenched in fear. Ari Nova stood at the center of a new era. And she was ready for what came next.